Praise the Lord, saints and friends. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to today's edition of Life Vision TV News. Man, I tell you, this is an explosive time. I've got a tremendous guest I want to introduce you to, Gareth Murray Jr. And I want to tell you a little bit about how I stumbled into him and why it's so timely at this time. You know, I'm big on our Bible as the source for everything for me. And the Bible is sort of history, the world history through the lens of the Jews, and particularly through Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses. The wonderful thing about it is that it is full of involvement with people that look like us. And if we haven't been trained to see ourselves in the Bible, it can completely go over our heads. But one of the things about the Bible for Jews is that it is their history book. It's their history of God's dealings with them, and with the feasts and the Sabbath weekly and the songs that we find in the book of Psalms. Their history has been rehearsed to them, and they have a responsibility to teach it to their children to their entire lives. I believe that we have to do the same kind of thing for us, and we can't leave it to the schools and we can't leave it to the government, but it's imperative that parents and our churches get involved in our history. As I was dealing with this kind of stuff, I have a not lifelong, some friends that we've known for over 50 years, dear precious friends, Pastor Joe and Deanna Murray. And we were talking a few weeks ago, and he said, you need to talk to my nephew. I said, man, I didn't even know he existed. And when I began to look at what God has blessed you with, I'm just excited about talking to you. And we're excited to present him to our audience today, that he might share a little bit about the fantastic courses that he has put together with your African history. And Dr. Mary, we're just so glad to have you. Tell us a little bit about how you came to develop what you have put together.
Yes, so thank you so much for having me, Bishop. So in terms of my journey with classical African history, it really started with wanting to teach my own children their history. And what I found was that the resources out there were either college textbook, very dense, or very kid kind of centric, but very surface level, not a lot of depth, maybe very basic character studies.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to give them something that had depth, but was also something that was engaging for them, was visually appealing, and really connected the dots between the past and who they are in terms of their identity today. And, the awesome thing about Black history before slavery is that, if our history as a people were a 24-hour period, our history in America would only be the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So our time in America is really less than 1% of our total people's history on the timeline.
Yeah.
And as you go back and study,
know much about even that.
right. And it's really life-changing to really learn about how monumental our people have been to the history of the world. And for people of all ages, really, not just kids, but also adults too, because again, most of us weren't taught this growing up. And so just to come to terms with the fact that, our ancestors invented algebra and geometry and philosophy and, engineering, astronomy, medicine, these monumental contributions to humankind trace back to our ancestors. And so on the one hand, for children, it's life-changing, because how can you say I'm not a math person when your ancestors invented algebra and geometry? How can you say you're not a science person if your ancestors invented astronomy and medicine, right? How can you say you're not a deep thinker when your ancestors were the world's first philosophers? And so it's a really life-changing experience, not only for kids, but also for adults. It's a healing, really, journey of self-discovery, because you begin to reframe the way you see yourself in the world and your place in the world. Even, going back to the biblical texts, things, stories from Acts chapter 8, where, the Candace, the Ethiopian eunuch said, was a treasurer to the Candace. And that word Candace actually comes from the word Kandake, which is a lineage of African queens who ruled one of the most powerful kingdoms in the world, which is why you don't even get a lot of context in that story, because everybody knew who a Kandake was. These were powerful, powerful women who were leading a kingdom. And so, classical African history really it's a healing journey of self-discovery. It's a journey of empowerment for people of all ages. And so I created a resource for families to use, and for churches, and for any learning community to learn this together, for all ages, kids, adults, with interactive videos, reading material that intentionally connects the dots between our history and our identity. I'm speaking directly to Black people of African descent. This wasn't created for the general audience. This was created for us, specifically for us.
Now, tell me a little bit about the structure of it and how people connect with you to obtain the resources.
Yes. So if you go to yourafricanhistory.com, you'll learn about the what, the why, the how. So it's all online. You can watch the videos at your own pace, right? So there's enough content to last for a complete academic year, but you can do it at your own pace. And so you watch a video, you can read the reading materials that I've provided. There are downloads, there's worksheets and activities. These are all optional, but there's worksheets and activities, there's games, there's hands-on projects, and the resources completely online. So you can do it from anywhere, and you're not restricted in terms of your schedule because you can do it at your own pace. It's on demand. So it's kind of like a Netflix for African history.
Now, is it available when people sign up? Is it available to just the children or the entire family?
It's the entire family. So when you sign up for Your African History, the package is for the entire household. Everybody who lives in your home has access.
Great. Well, it sounds tremendous, and I look forward to working with you on seeing how we can bring this to churches that they can offer to their members as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and before I leave, tell us a little bit about your background and how all of the things in your background brought you to this particular place.
Yes. Well, I come from a family of educators. So going back over 100 years.
Wow.
My great grandparents taught at the historic Dorchester Academy, where Dr. King organized the March on Birmingham. Wow. And so, education is just in my blood. I've always been an educator. No matter what type of education I was doing, I was always teaching something. And so that affinity for teaching, obviously, and my hunger for learning has just blossomed into teaching this. And so, and coming from a family of, a socially conscious family, social consciousness, especially in terms of race and dealing with white supremacy, those were conversations that were always happening in my home. And so history has always been just a core value to who I am as a person, how I was raised. And so that's why I wanted to pass it on to my children and now to the broader community.
Well, we're excited about the connection, and we know it's going to be a blessing to so many people around this country. And thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to just talk about this for a bit. And we really look forward to working with you.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Bishop.
God bless you, man.
God bless you. classical African history will completely change the way you see yourself, the power of your people, and your own unique place in the world. In our history, we have built strong, Black-led civilizations untouched by the greed of the outside world, where our people, Black people, were the world leaders in science, medicine, engineering, astronomy, philosophy, and mathematics, where our women led nations and armies into battle, and where our men were sought after for their deep wisdom and knowledge. And yet, too often, our history is told starting with our experience in America, as if we had no history before we arrived. And while our time in America is rich with its own examples of African resistance and greatness, it represents less than 1% of our people's story on the world timeline. Our ancestors had been contributing to human civilization for thousands of years before reaching American shores. And it's time we give our children a more complete picture of what it means to be African. Your African History provides courses that will take your child on a journey to explore the greatness of their classical African heritage and the greatness within themselves. By learning about all that their ancestors have done for humanity, your child will develop the confidence to look at the entire world and proudly say, "You're welcome." Go to yourafricanhistory.com and register your child for a course today.